Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Earth2 Discusses WandaVision. I'm here with the man, the myth, the legend, KB, Kyle XY, Trap Gizzard with the dad bod. Yeah, I don't remember the rest of it, but yeah, you get
Yeah,
it. You get the
we
gist. You
out
get
here.
the gist. We out here,
Was really good.
right? So, what are we here to talk about? The episode breaking the fourth wall. Honestly, honestly,
Honestly,
good episode. Good episode. To me, not great. Pretty good.
it was pretty
Um,
good. It, it was pretty good. You know, like
it
I
did
like
what it
the
needed.
homage.
I feel like it did what it needed to do. Right. It touched the points it needed to touch. It helped us
Hmm.
bridge the close, answer certain questions, close certain things that we needed it to close. For one, I'm gonna go ahead right now today and say Kyle was right. Kyle was very right. If you can't tell by my background and the background of the video, I'm just some you guys quick. Kyle called this from, I think, day one. He said, "This is who this is." He's like, "This person right here is too good to be true. We just gonna like." He's like, "Yeah, this is Agatha, and that's just what it is. And shut up and respect me because I'm Kyle and I'm right." That's what he did.
Yeah,
So
I did slap a couple people though. Like, but mind you, we ain't like them anyway. But
right. So Kyle called that, and the other thing that was called on the show, which I thought was really important. I think we called this last week.
yeah,
Um,
the whole spectrum thing.
yeah, we called that last week, and I thought that was really important because it leads, it helps us open up like a whole Captain Marvel, thing. Like Captain Marvel 2 is open now, and so I think the most important part of this show, like the most important thing this show is doing, is helping establish Phase 4 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, it's definitely doing that, and it's setting it up pretty beautifully. Uh, you, My biggest question is what happens when the bubble bursts? Literally, like when that world bursts, because we do know what's happening in there will
Mm.
be real outside of there, right? And they're definitely setting pieces up, right? Like you have Wiccan and you have what's Wiccan's brother's name? I can't think of his name. Um
Not Nightmare. I'm sorry.
n-
I'm
no.
thinking of something else.
But what's weird is I think we're going to get some glimpse of Nightmare from the last two episodes of the season.
Right.
I don't. Yeah, because
So go ahead.
there's a story. I'm just going to say there's a story in the comics where Nightmare messes with children,
Mm.
and Agnes at that time she didn't come out as Agatha said you can't control children. So, but who can through their dream? Right. So willing to bet the farm that we're going to wind up seeing some form of nightmare. Maybe not flat out nightmare in the flesh, but some trace of nightmare we're going to see before the season ends.
So that's great that you bring that up. But what I do like for real is the fact that we got. I mean, I really do like that proton spectrum kind of reveal like that we got. Um, when Monica decides she wants to go back into the she's this moment when she decided she wanted to go back into the bubble, into the hex, and she couldn't quite cut it, right? She couldn't quite
Mm.
make it. Um it was, and she saw that the truck transformed, or the hex is a little stronger now, right?
Yeah,
The truck transformed only halfway through, and she decides to push through. I think it was something we had said when we were looking at the last episode, and we had talked about it. How when Darcy goes, "Hey, you're something, you're changing,"
yeah.
um,
Hayward
and
had her labs.
yeah, "Hey, where's your last and you're changing," and it was we kind of like we kind of said that it's well, I kind of said that it was that we're looking, it could be just cancer, but I'm like, it could be the fact that we're setting up spectrum, right?
Yeah,
I think the fact that we saw her call sign early on in the season, just was like, nah, it's not.
It
It's
was too on the
definitely,
nose.
yeah, it was too on the nose for
Now,
that.
now I do have a theory. I think I talked about it last week. I don't remember if we did it on air or off air, but my
Mm-hmm.
theory was you had what's her name? Jane Foster,
Mm-hmm.
who interacted with the ether, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She's human. You had Maria Rambeau, who had cancer. They haven't flat out said how, but she was in space and stuff like that.
Right.
And I know she interacted somewhat with the Space Stone per uh,
Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel, right?
Mm-hmm.
Darcy's interacted with both of those. Well, Darcy's interacted with Jane Foster. In the comics, Jane Foster had cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and Darcy's definitely talking about the cells and how the cells are being altered. Darcy legit had fear before she went in that bubble. So
Yes.
my idea is when you interact with Infinity Stone and you're not and you're just basically human, like that radiation gives you some form of cancer. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that they're trying to push that. They're trying to push that pretty heavy. And I think the Jane Foster that we're going to see in Love and Thunder is that the same cancer storyline from the comics, and like they're kind of like hinting that as well.
I hope
So
so.
so it's like it's definitely like a lot of build up.
Okay, but then if that's the case, what is the difference between Monica and all the other humans where she gets
Well, she didn't
ability?
directly interact with an Infinity Stone. But you talking about Monica.
Mm-hmm.
Monica went through. She went through in that CBR, that cosmic blast radiation. You know what I mean? That CMDR that
Yes.
they
Yes. Yeah.
that they kept talking about in episode 4. She went through that wall several times, which altered her genes. So that's probably why she didn't have cancer per se. But that's
Mm,
probably what Darcy was concerned about was, dude, you're interacting with this. I've seen what this did firsthand. And chances are
right.
you seeing what this did to your mother firsthand.
Right. Right. That's probably
That's
why
what
she doesn't like Captain Marvel. So we're gonna probably touch on that in Captain Marvel too.
yeah.
Um, the other part of this for me is when if we're looking at so back to the episode. So we're looking at everything happened. Vision finds Darcy and he says, "Hey, I remember you," and then proceeds to unlock her brain. And the fact is, so now what I'm getting is the longer you're inside the hex, the more traumatic it is for you,
Yeah.
your experience. Since this was Darcy's first time in the hex and she opened up, I guess it wasn't as traumatic as say like the other guy, that Vision opened up. I forget his name. It wasn't as traumatic as that. So that's one thing that I can say is on the that the episode showed. Another thing, um so first of all, the episode opens up like a very 2000s sitcom, like like say The Office, and it feels like The Office where you're talking to, like Modern Family, The Office. You're talking to the,
The
you're having these
audience.
like side, talks or the confessionals where you're talking to the audience or the producers of the show, um, and I actually enjoyed that portion of it. I
Hmm.
really enjoyed that
I
bringing
loved it
both.
from the jump. The theme
Yes.
from the jump that like it really was the office. Like
Yeah,
I
it
enjoyed
was
all
the
that.
Office thing. Yeah, that was the Office theme exactly, and I really enjoyed that part of it.
I like the
Now,
monsters theme at the end too.
yes,
Yeah, I like
so
that. I like, dude, they're
there's
doing the monsters.
a lot of things that influence the show, to be exact, and they just decided to show all their influences on this episode, and I love that. Um, Now I want to discuss the the villain review, right? Reveal on this
Hmm.
episode, and ask like what bigger implications for the greater MCU does that have? Is this something that we're going to deal with on this episode, like on this show, or is this something that is going to spill over to the greater MCU?
Mar, if it's anything from Marvel, which we know Marvel's history now, it's always like a bigger implication. So I think Agatha Harkness for right now is just going to be a series villain, And mind
Mm.
you, in the comics, Agatha only really deals with a handful of people.
Right, right.
She's dealt with Wanda in the comics. She dealt with Reed Richards, with Franklin Richards in the comics. She was a babysitter at one point, and I think it was her that had an impact on Captain America as a child in the Secret Empire storyline.
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
so mind you, she's very powerful. She's powerful as all get out. But she does she's like a piece for a bigger piece. Like she's never like the main center piece in anything. Kind of like picture Bane from The Dark Knight Rises. He was the piece for the bigger piece, being Talia al Ghul and all that good stuff. Which different universe, and that wasn't a good movie, so I'm going to get off of that.
Oh, that
So,
was a great movie. Relax. That was a great
yo,
movie.
you're
I don't
bragging,
care.
cuz.
I don't care how you feel. I don't bear how you feel. That was a great movie. Okay. I don't bear. I don't bear. That was a great movie. It's like now. Let's get back to the MC. So now, if we that's a good thing that you said that. So let's segue into this next question I have for you.
Mm-hmm.
Last week we discussed at length about the fact that the villain of the show could be Mephisto and he's the one controlling everything. Right now it's been revealed that Agatha's been the one controlling everything. That the Pietro is Agatha's age. So that might have been a tease to the bigger Foxman universe, but it also has been drawn back. I think what this show does very well is a lot of misdirection where you think you have one thing and it's like, no, if you might be correct, but then they do a lot of misdirection to tell you you're not correct and end up, making you correct. Because again, you called Agatha, and then she had that interaction with Vision, and then it was like it put a little doubt in your mind, but maybe not yours, but in a lot of people's minds, and they scaled it back, and now it's actually Agatha. So, do
Right.
you believe that Mephisto? Are you still on your Mephisto board?
All right. So, as a writer, you only have X amount of chapters to tell a story, right?
Right.
So, and you only have X amount of chapters to create a problem, develop the problem, resolve the problem, right? So,
Right.
this series was supposed to have been 6 episodes. It's now 10 episodes, 30 minute, like 30, slightly over 30-minute episodes, and we're on it back to. It would do the writers of this show, who's done a real great job in the last 7 episodes, a huge disservice to interject a brand new big bad in the last 2 episodes for that to be resolved in the last 2 episodes. So the idea of having Agatha there all along as Agnes, and then reveal that it's been her dicking with basically the person next door all along, was a good idea, which is actually another movie from the 90s, about the person next door. What was that movie? It was the person, he was looking with the binoculars at the person next door.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was another
I know.
90s
Yeah,
trope.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Another good job by Marvel, like really doing the research, right? Uh, but it would do it would, huge disservice for them to bring in Mephisto now as the big bad of the series, right? But
Mhm.
having Agatha as the big bad that came off as the sly friend, or the friend all along, and come out the friend all along is the one that's been causing all these problems and killed the dog too. Uh, and now you have to figure out in the last 2 episodes how to resolve this, while
Right.
also clearing your own name, because this person's thrown your name through the mud, like made you the villain. So really figure that part out. I think that's good. While you could give seeds to Mephisto, like, hey, look, there is a bigger piece in play. Like, because they did zoom in on that book again that was down there in that basement, the one that looks kind of like a Darkhold.
Right.
Yeah. So they zoomed in on that book again. And I'm like, and they showed the fly. So those that don't know, in the comics, before Mephisto appears, there's always like a fly around. It's always like flies around, and then Mephisto appears.
Mhm.
So I kind of liked it that they did that as well, and they zoomed in on the freaking fly. Like I did like that. So I'm kind of guessing they're not going to go all out Mephisto on in this series, but they're probably going to give hints towards him. But Agatha is going to be the big bad. But I think Mephisto, we're going to wind up seeing as a big bad in the future, and I could
Okay.
really see. like mind you, this hints that Spider-Man is going to be the One More Day storyline. You have Multiverse of Madness with Nightmare involved in that. Uh, you have Kang the Conqueror. So I really think dealing with Mephisto on different levels is going to affect different things in the multiverse.
Oh, so
Because
this is like another thread to like the greater Mephisto. This is not necessarily full on Mephisto, is what you're saying.
yeah, and
Okay.
yeah, with it being two more episodes, I wouldn't want it to be full on Mephisto at this point.
All
Like,
right.
because then it's like, dude, this is too much jam packed in.
All right. All
Like,
right.
I would complain.
All right. I will
Yeah,
complain.
yeah.
Last but not least, we're gonna discuss the scene right here. You ready for this, bro? Boom.
Oh yeah, you two do not pull us down for showing a scene. We're not playing with you guys. You got
All right. So, oh man, they took him down. They took him out. KB, where you at? Oh man. Well, KB's out, and I'm left to do this myself. But yeah, so discussing that scene that we just saw. That was the post-credit scene for WandaVision. So again, oh, by the way, I forgot to say this at the top of the episode. We always do spoilers, so we will be spoiling this episode. And if you haven't seen it, please stop watching because we just showed you the final scene of the episode. Now, all in all, that scene there was to show you that Monica, again, so Monica is now in the hex and she's looking for Wanda, who happened to be saved, quote unquote, by Agnes, who has now revealed herself to be Agatha. And so now Pietro is back, or a creation of hers. Because again, she's shown to manipulate that. So we don't know exactly. We hope Vision is also on his way to go save them, but we do hope that he gets there in time. That was a great stinger to make you come back for the next two. I love that though. That is very MCU, and we haven't gotten a post-credit scene since Spider-Man Far From Home. And I believe that this is the first of many. And I feel like the show should continue to do that. All the Marvel shows should continue to do that. But no, I am very pleased about that post-credit scene. I think it meant that we are going to be getting a final battle at it meant it mean it means that we're going to be getting a final battle at some point between the two of them. I'm going to go now, and I'll see you guys on the next WandaVision discussion. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you on the next one.